Hello, welcome to PipeCast. Here we are with another October edition of the First Impression Last Review. This is Cornell and Diehl's From Beyond, which is a relatively it's new blend for small batch. It is a re-release from I believe 2019. I'm not sure what makes it different from the 2019, but I am pretty excited to.
Well, I think it was only for the show,
Oh,
the
was it?
International Pipe Show or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So I think that was a limited
Oh,
capture at that pipe show,
gotcha.
and then now they're releasing a small batch.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited about the blend. I know I talk about Artisan's blend a lot, but if there was no Artisan's blend, I'd be a Nightcap guy. Nightcap would be my heavy English. And you know, according to the interwebs, Jeremy Reeves, you know, smoked a 1980s era Nightcap, tin of Nightcap, and that's sort of the basis for the blend. So um, I'm really interested to see what's going on with this. But before we dive into that, let's look at that breakdown real quick. All right, what we have here is From Beyond, Cornell and Diehl small batch, which is placed under the Old Ones title. But yes, From Beyond. The components of From Beyond are Cyprian Latakia, Eastern North Carolina Red Virginia, Bright Canadian Virginia, Turkish Izmir, Greek Basma, which I don't have any representation for at the moment, and then also Louisiana Perique. All right. When you look at the blend here, I mean it's a pretty well balanced as far as talking about the coloration. Um, you can see the Latakia, but it's not prevalent. It's not dominant. You can really see these red to bright to oriental. You know, they're pretty. They make up a good portion since they're very similar in coloration. It's kind of hard to pick that out. And then there's a little bit of Perique spread out. I can see a little bit of light or a little bit of cocoa colored brown going on. But yeah, it looks like it's a really well balanced as far as its proportions. Of course, we'll know more when we smoke it.
So that's the From Beyond blend. So a 1980 tin of Nightcap, I think would have been Murray production.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had the Murray production tin. The only tin that the oldest tin I ever got, I think, was like the pre-release. So it was kind of odd, but Nightcap was around in the early 2000s by the Scandinavian Tobacco Group. Then disappeared for several years. Couldn't get it in the States for a long time.
Wow.
And then made a reappearance in like the 2010s, I think. So I had actually had a pre-STG blend before it disappeared. And then it reemerged, but I never actually had any of the Murray blends.
Okay.
But a lot of that English Balkan sort of frenzy,
Mm-hmm.
I think, sort of comes out between that 60s through the 1980s, early 80s for sure,
Okay.
before blends actually start dying out, or recipes or names, brands get sold off. But I think you lose a significant portion of pipe blends between like the 60s and 70s and 80s, where they start dropping off or they stop manufacturing and stuff. And then you sort of have just like normal contenders.
Yeah.
Because Dunhill's really like the Marlboro of pipe tobacco. I'm not comparing it to Marlboro Shag cigarettes or Reds or Whites, but I am saying that as a brand, it does have a lot of
the clout.
It has a lot of clout.
Yeah. So far on First Light. So, well, before I get into that, as you've noticed with last week's episode, that really wasn't a first impression, last review. That was just a review.
Right.
We both have had the Patience of Dr. Silence. This is a double first impression. This is our first smoke of From Beyond, right here on camera.
We kind of were hesitant about doing this in particular because of just the filler namesake, but it was such a task trying to get things ordered and organized that we just decided to crack the tin and then smoke away. So you're actually just going to get a first impression, but because of a couple of things, one being that it's a reproduction of a blend that we've smoked quite a lot. Granted, not the Murray blend, but Nightcap as STG would have tried to have similar notes, a similar formula to the Murray's Nightcap, or the Nightcap that predates Murray's.
Yeah.
So this is going to be in that vein.
And I can tell you, on the first light, I can definitely feel the Nightcap vibe. I don't know if it's the Latakia that's really sort of hitting that same note, but I mean, because you can really tell the difference between Nightcap and then, like, for me, when you start stepping down, going to Quiet Nights and HH Latakia Flake, and then of course then you get into your early morning type Englishes. But Artisan's Brilliant Nightcap kind of just, they stand out for their strength, I guess. Not
You
really.
think that Quiet Nights is a step down from Nightcap?
Only barely.
Huh.
Only barely. And I think it's just a difference of, like I said, maybe with the Latakia, I think. But yeah, Quiet Nights to me doesn't feel as full as Nightcap or Artisan's Blend, but it's just barely. It's just barely missing. Everything else that I've had would be below that. Would be below Quiet Nights.
Interesting, I guess, because I really appreciate Quiet Nights. And I'm assuming my appreciation probably has something to do with it being a notch below those blends, because I do prefer a lighter Latakia and a more Oriental forward. And I was going to actually mention that because that is like this weird argument, and I always mess this up because I talk about Balkan kitchen sink English,
Yeah.
But I've heard some explanations of Balkan being just it's an Oriental forward Latakia blend.
See, I thought that was Scottish.
Scottish is where it's like just a touch of Latakia and Oriental forward, but it would have like a predominant measure of Latakia with a more Oriental forward tobacco component. So it, like, imagine it's like I'm sure it'd be like 40, 20, 20, 20, like something like that.
Okay.
Like, and your 40 is probably your Oriental blends.
Yeah.
I don't know if I buy into that.
Yeah, I've heard it before as well.
Because the Balkans that people discuss are so lat bomby that I'm just like, I don't know if I agree with that. But there's something about like kind of a dark creosote Latakia, like where it's just really the dark leaf that sort of adds this sort of, it's complexity, but like really smoldery smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, well, plum pudding on the tin, it says it's an English Balkan, and I don't think that's Oriental forward at all. But that's just my, you know, take. I think the Latakia dominates that blend. I mean, it doesn't dominate in a bad way, but I definitely think it's more the,
I think you can taste the Latakia,
yeah,
most surely.
yeah.
So what do you think about this?
I like it. Would I would I pick it over Nightcap? I don't know. I mean, because this is a small batch thing, and I don't know what the limited. I don't know if it's a limited kind of release thing or if they're going to continue doing it. It's very special. So I don't know. For me, you know how I am. I kind of don't go out of my way to make things too complicated. When it comes to blends, I kind of like find what I like and what represents it the most at the most availability, right? Like I love Samuel Gawa full Virginia flake, um, but I'm a Peterson flake person just because it's a little bit more readily
Right,
available.
right.
And I was almost a McBaron. I almost just went full McBaron HH, Latakia, Burley Flake, uh, Pure Virginia, just because there's simplicity to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this blend. Would I pick it over Nightcap or Artisan's blend? Maybe once in a blue moon.
Mm.
But I do like it. I can see where they were going. I can see what he's talking about it being similar or being like that because it is different enough. I just can't pinpoint what makes it different. But I'm only halfway through the bowl, if that.
Yeah.
What about you?
Um, I can't. I mean, it's hard not to be skeptical of small batch blends
Hmm.
because it's like, uh, I get, I get it, I guess, but I don't. I just don't see it. It's like it's either going to be some sort of like to me. It could be a grift. It could be like we don't really want to commit because we're not 100% sure on the blend.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to test the waters. Someone mentioned in a comment section, I think his name was Lakeland something, but shout out to him. He made a good point about it could be an FDA regulation, trying to like sidestep some regulations. But either way that kind of come up with these small batch or limited releases, I don't have a ton of faith in them because I don't feel like they're tested enough, and I think that creates a certain amount of ambiguity for the consumer, where I don't know. I mean, people are usually buying them up and shelving them, so there's not a lot of consensus. I mean, you can go to tobacco reviews, but they probably bought a Tim, cracked a Tim, and stored 4 tins, and hoping that one day when they return to it, they're going to have like brown gold on their hands, and that's just not always going to happen.
No.
With that said, this From Beyond, it seems like it's from beyond the First Amendment blending table because this just tastes like Drucker and Son's First Amendment to me. It doesn't taste
Really?
anything like Nightcap.
Mm.
It's not enough Latakia to be interesting,
Mm.
and there's not enough other things going on that really sets itself up as, oh, well, I definitely want to explore this.
Gotcha.
I think in the vein of them trying to do an homage, send up reference to H.P. Lovecraft, and they've done this with their Elder series. So someone at Cornell and Diehl really loves the work of H.P. Lovecraft. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. H.P. Lovecraft is a great horror. He's a staple in cosmological horror, and he's really good. But if you read H.P. Lovecraft's stuff, you would assume that there would actually be more of an oriental flair to all of the tobaccos because a lot of his stuff, even like the Necronomicon, which he writes about, is a kind of mystical arts of the Orient, kind of phantasmagoric horror beyond belief from this side of the world that is sort of steeped in religious, history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the Mad Arab is the one who I think produced the Necronomicon. You know, I would have bolstered the Oriental and made this an Oriental, really Oriental forward blend.
Yeah.
If I was going to like try to hearken to some sort of Lovecraftian thing. This is so off the cuff and so not what you guys tuned in for. And I guess the reason why you're getting this kind of aside about the tobacco is because I feel like this is pretty boring.
Well, it's interesting. So on two fronts, one being the naming convention. Do you think the naming convention is way off?
If I were to name it, right?
Yeah.
I'd have named it something else.
Gotcha.
I mean, like, I don't know if I would have done,
Pick something else for Lovecraft.
pick something else, or you don't even pick Lovecraft. Just find something more standard.
That's what I meant. Like for the title from Beyond, figure out a different blend that you've got down the road that you're gonna make.
Mm-hmm.
And then so the second point is it being reminiscent of this 1980s era tin that Jeremy Reeves smoked, which of course. Whatever he tasted and whatever he tried to replicate, he's the only one that knows, how close it is.
And it could 100% be that the tobaccos have mellowed and the Latakia has, if it's from the 80s, it's clearly got some cellaring on it, some age on it. So I don't know if what he's tasting is a lighter Latakia that has been mellowed through years of whatever. This is kind of a tedious bowl. It's not even a crazy pipe, It's tedious to smoke, and it has a terrible finish. I mean, I would have named it after a Stephen King novel. Because it's just long and boring and a terrible ending.
Okay.
So that's my opinion, I mean, call it It. Or call it, Cujo or something, something boring.
The Stand.
The Stand.
That would have been great for the time that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
Call it The Stand.
So that's my take on as far as naming convention. As far as tobacco is concerned, I'd never smoke it again. I'm usually not that hard of a stance on something.
Yeah.
Like I've had two hard stances since we started doing the filler episodes, and that's Balkan Sobrani, which has the same flat, boring,
It's an English aromatic.
Yeah, and it's just this and this, which is just like, it feels like it's a copy of. Yeah, it just feels like a copy of First Amendment, except the First Amendment has something more going from it. It's sort of like they tried to mimic First Amendment, but then didn't hit all the notes.
It's crazy. I didn't even put it together, but you're right. It kind of does have that First Amendment feel to it. But I don't know. Again, it's kind of what you tune in for. The way that an experienced pipe smoker works with an inexperienced. I kind of, I mean, it's hard for me. I'm hard pressed to find a difference between it and Nightcap, other than the Latakia not being. The Latakia tastes the same. I just don't know if there's as much. To me,
I can
it's not as much happening.
I can see the Nightcap connection, and it's
Yeah.
because I've smoked a ton of STG.
Yeah.
But that's already a problem in my opinion, because you're not trying to replicate STG. And then there's a part of me that's wondering, well, you have to sort of, is that a mental thing? Like, did I hear the word Nightcap? So I'm looking for the comparison between this and STG.
Yeah.
I don't even have a frame of reference for Murray.
Yeah, so that's why even bring it up.
Right, so it's like they're like, okay, well, this guy smoked an old tin. I want that sort of Murray Nightcap experience, so I'll buy this up. Mm-hmm. I hate to be like this, but that seems to push my narrative of it being sort of a con to get money out of you. Yeah. And once again, people comment, and I notice what you comment on YouTube, and I'm willing to take an aside and mention that it could be a sidestep for FDA, or maybe they don't trust the blend, or there's a lot of reasons. But when you smoke something and it's sort of flat, I think in the reference I used in the other video, it was Latakia rolls, which is a delicious blend. So it's like not always on point. But in this case, it just
kind of seems, yeah.
I'm just like, whatever. I mean, I I probably would never return to this. But it's, once again, I'm more into reviewing things that are on the market, that are proven on the market. In other words, they haven't been stripped away or taken down, you know? I sort of like that aspect more than I like this small batch sort of thing.
Well, well, this is a first for y'all. So, yeah, if you tend to, well, I don't know. We've never really disagree. I was gonna say, if you tend to agree with my taste, try it out. If you tend to agree with Zach's, don't try it out, or be leery of it. I guess I should say. But we usually agree. We kind of take different paths, but we get to the same conclusion. But this is a different kind of episode, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with disagreeing, obviously.
No. Well, this is the first time we've ever first impression together. So,
Problem with the first impression episode 2 is that, you really do need to kind of grow with a blend.
Yeah.
And see where it takes you.
Maybe revisit it.
The irony is that usually I'm dead on with my first impression.
Yeah.
If I really like it, there'll be complexities that I even like more that I keep smoking it. But if I really don't like it, then the whole thing becomes a chore, and then I get more annoyed as time goes on. And even though I will force my way through half a 10 or something to try to give some sort of credence to my smoking, I'm usually more irritated by the end of it because I'm like, well, this is a task. I don't even want to smoke.
So yeah, I think like I said, Jeremy Reeves is the only one that kind of knows if whatever this is match what he smoked. And so, like, even though I guess smokers who have smoked it,
yes,
Murray's in the 80s, they may be able to tell you.
I want to say that Jeremy Reeves is a stand-up dude, and I don't know him, but I'm just saying,
yeah,
he's ahead. I don't think he's going to lie.
No. Based on what I know.
What I'm saying is with a small batch, based on everything that I have in front of me, not based on what Jeremy Reeves is saying, not based on the blending traditions of Cornell and Diehl, just my personal take on small batch, and then my ideas of the way small batch and marketing works. I'm not going to lean towards it being a good thing. No. I think Jeremy Reeves wouldn't lie, because I feel like blenders love tobacco.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make the best product. And it's not an easy task to invent or reinvent or reinvigorate a blend with something. I mean, you don't have the original recipe. You don't have the original topping or casing. You don't have all these things, plus the age.
Yeah,
so we don't know what. I'm going to assume that this is a dead replica of what he smoked from 1980, which means I don't like Nightcap from Murray. That's the easiest way to explain that. With age or something, because it falls flat. And perhaps it's my palate that's betraying me or something, and that I'm really just having a lay moment here, but I'm just not.
Yeah.
I think you can get more bang for your buck from other blends.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I will say, going back to, what I've said in previous reviews and kind of what I've already said here, if you're like me, if you're kind of new to the game, well, not new, if you're young in the game, a couple, 3 years, right? Just stick with Nightcap or Artisan's Blend. Like I said, I would be a horrible tobacco blender, because I would make like 7 blends and that would be it. Like, I would make your quintessential, whatever, and I wouldn't try to get too fancy with it, because I don't know, like, there's only a handful. Like I said, I like Nightcap and I like Artisan's Blend, but I only keep one on hand. I don't keep both because I don't see the point in it. I keep Artisan's Blend and I keep H.H. Latakia on hand. That's the 2 Englishes I keep on hand, because H.H. Latakia is a little bit lighter. Excuse me. A little bit lighter. And so it's more, I'd smoke Nightcap in the morning. I'm not saying it's not that crazy, because the crazy thing about it is a lot of people talk big games about Nightcap and stuff. And to me, a nicotine hit is kind of what I hear when I hear people kind of
Right.
not afraid of a blend, but they're leery of a blend. It's the nicotine.
Right.
Latakia don't got nicotine in it. I mean, it does, but not like Virginias and not like
Burleys for
yeah.
sure.
So like, I mean, I get more the times that I have gotten nicotine sickness were a vapor and a straight Virginia. So, you know, I don't like as far as smoking Nightcap in the morning. That ain't nothing. It's just that
and they're
it's
more
full,
pungent.
Yeah,
they're
a fuller
pungent. Yeah,
flavor.
right.
So, yeah, as far as this will be like a once in a while, maybe let it age up. But if this is replicating a 40-year-old blend, I don't know how much more age is going to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, it's not 40-year-old tobacco that's being used, but it's trying to mimic what 40-year-old tobacco did.
And maybe the mellowing out of the Virginia too. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of dark leaf in this, just from a general kind of look.
I can't remember.
I can't. It seems like it's lighter, so there probably is more bright Virginia than red Virginia. I'd have to look at it again. Don't just look at the breakout of the blends, or just refer to the breakouts previously.
I think it'll be me doing the breakdown, and I have a hard time. I figured that out over the last few times doing it. I have a hard time picking out the different Virginias. I kind of default everything's
definitely
red.
Doesn't taste like there's a lot of red Virginia in here.
Okay,
but watch me be completely wrong about this whole thing. So,
well, and if he's right, then I may be wrong in the top down. But it's all it's all subjective. It's what we're seeing.
That's true, but I mean, you're trying to pinpoint out what's gone. What you try to pinpoint different leaf and what you like, and sort of root out what you don't.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I don't like this blend. So I think it's more of component construction because the leaves smoke fine. I have no problem with packing. I have no issues with burn.
It's a typical
rate.
C&D blend.
I mean, C&D produces P's, which I think is the high water mark of good tobacco, regardless. So, like, leaf quality has never been an issue. It's just the blending components and the makeup of this.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan.
Yeah.
But
so, if let us know if you've gotten a 10 of From Beyond. Let us know how you feel about it.
I just broke my pipe.
What?
I'm serious. It just split.
Well, that's an elder god telling you.
That isn't it, man. I'm ashamed that it just literally split down the middle.
Well, now looking at it, look how thin the walls are on the side.
Good Lord.
It looks like a tooth.
Yeah. Well, if anything, that's a testament to how bad this tobacco is. But well, crap.
That's just you talking bad about it.
Nah, that's not what it is.
Hey, listen, mine's not breaking.
The problem is I'm sitting next to a Tennessee Vols fan.
What?
What color is that shirt? It ain't festive. Tomorrow's a big game, ain't it?
Listen, it's Halloween, Jack. This is orange.
Yeah, you look like a pumpkin for Tennessee. Listen, I had to get a jab in because he's starting to smack talk me, so here you go.
Smack talk? Come on now.
Look like a broken tooth. Look like you talking smack about the elder gods.
It did look like a broken tooth. Look at it.
I can't believe that.
It looked like a tooth with a cavity.
That is like the craziest thing. Well, you guys got to see it.
Yeah.
I pulled this out for for Halloween. I pulled out a skull meerschaum pipe, which I like a lot, for a Halloween episode, and it split right down the center. That is the craziest.
You don't talk bad about Jeremy Reeves'
blend. I guess so, man. So there you go, guys. So
if you're gonna talk mess, make sure it's a pipe you don't like.
Well, so to recap, From Beyond, the best small batch in the country to date. Jeremy Reeves, a genius, knocks it out of the park once again. I can't believe how much I love this blend.
It's such a good blend. GLP's probably was involved.
That's right. That's right. So, well, thanks for tuning in for this episode of PipeCast. Buy all the From Beyond you can get.
Yeah, buy it all. But for real, if you got any comments, if you disagree or agree with us, just let us know in the comments. We like hearing what everybody's got to say. So,
see y'all next time.
See ya.